What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle tonight. My name is Ryan Linkletter. I am here with Dan Loya. Dan, the Dallas Cowboys looked like a complete football team for the first time this season tonight. They were able to stop the run very impressively. Their defense came up big. They had, a lot of big time splash plays in that secondary, interceptions, sacks. Their defense looked really good. And then offensively, George Pickens was an absolute matchup nightmare tonight for the Las Vegas Raiders. I had that along with CD Lamb. Dak Prescott had a really good game as well. And you get the outcome we got on Monday Night Football. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer than this was. What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys' new additions this year paid dividends for them. They looked great tonight. I think they won the battle of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football, and that's where the game is won. You can have all these flashy toys at receiver and corner, but it doesn't matter. The game's won in the line of scrimmage, and that's what the Cowboys did tonight. And that gave Dak just enough time. I thought he played extremely well, and just like you said, man, Pickens tore up the Raiders tonight. 144 receiving yards, nine catches, 1 TD. CD Lamb had 1 touchdown. He could add another one in the fourth quarter. So overall, just yeah, man, it was all Dallas Cowboys today, and they took over Allegiant too. So yeah, it was just the Cowboys' day.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's the thing with this Cowboys team is that they're 4-5-1 now, and despite that
Mhm.
record, they still have a lot of talent, and can give a
Yeah,
give a team a good game on a weekly basis. And with the improved additions on their defense, they got a lot of guys healthy, right? They added a few players mixed in there. The defense is a little bit different now. I know it's a one game sample size against the Raiders, Dan, but do you think this
mhm.
defense will be much better in the second half of the season, or do you think they'll be around that bottom five defense like they were entering the week?
Yeah, I think it'll be improved. I don't know how it's gonna hold up against elite teams. I'm trying to pull up their schedule right now, but it's definitely gonna be improved. And I don't have any doubts about their offense. They're gonna put up points against any team. I don't care who they're playing. Their defense is just the question mark. It's kind of like the Bengals. They're just the Cowboys. They're involved in a lot of shootouts, and sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them. And tonight they were able to win them. But I did like what I saw today. I mean, you got Quentin Williams in the middle, and he was very disruptive. And they have like three D tackles, Overshawn and Kenny Clark from Green Bay. So if they can continue to play like that, they're going to win. And I tell you, I know they play the Eagles next. That they could easily beat the Eagles next week. They match up well with them. They're big and physical on both sides of the ball, and they played really tough week one. And I
Yeah.
remember we talked about it, and just with that Eagles offense looking the way it is, it's not gonna look any better. And if the Cowboys can jump on them, they could easily beat the Eagles next week. So I think they can keep this rolling. And I mean, they're gonna be. It's just been one of those games when you got the Cowboys on the schedule. You're gonna be like, oh man, we got to go to Dallas and play them. It's just gonna be a tough place to play. And yeah, they played really well tonight on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and I think with the Cowboys, right, I don't expect them to work their way back into the playoff mix, but it almost feels like this year is momentum swing into next year. I really like what Brian Schottenheimer has brought to this team. The offense has been a little bit more balanced this year. They're very
Mhm.
explosive, and they've had 1 to 2 bad performances, but for a majority part of the year, they've been among some of the best offensive performances we've seen on a weekly basis, right? Dak Prescott's looked really good in this system. You added George
Yeah,
Pickens to CD Lamb, and it was the wide receiver two they needed. Jake Ferguson took a step forward. The offensive lines played really good for a majority of this year. And then Javante Williams has played really well as well. So you have a good group
mhm,
of collection on the offensive side of the ball. Now it's a matter of figuring out that defense. And I think the addition of Quinton Williams makes a statement that, they're not going to be the best team in terms of stopping the pass this season for sure. I don't think that is going to completely be covered up, but Dan, this team's going to be able to stop the run very, very well. Kenny Clark paired with Quinton Williams. I mean, you talk about those two
that's
guys
really
paired
good.
together 3 years ago as a run stuffing duo. You'd be like, they're going to average under 2.5 yards per carry against this team. That's how dominant those two really are
Yeah,
on that. And they have some young guys off the edge that are starting to, make some noise as, sack presence guys. So they have young pieces right now paired together on this defensive line that make it intriguing. Secondary has its problems. We'll see if they figure those out.
definitely.
Um, don't know how much I think like I know, on the broadcast, Mario Overshawn was like a guy that they were highlighting so much about his big return. he's a really athletic player, but his instincts aren't really there for me consistently. You know who he reminds me of? A lot of Devin White, current Raiders linebacker. He's
Oh,
very
really?
twitchy. He's incredibly fast, but not a
Yeah.
great coverage linebacker, and he struggles with his responsibilities on a per play basis. So I think with Dallas's defense looking really good tonight, I would pump the brakes a little bit. I do think they're a very good run defense. Their pass defense is going to continue to struggle for a majority of this year. And I see Dallas probably fitting in that, 7-9-1 range, 8-8-1 range, right around there. They'll be right around that 500 mark. It feels like this year they'll maybe clip a good team. They'll lose to a bad team. That's just kind of what the Cowboys are built for, and they're going to be stuck in that middle draft pick tier this year. And I think like in their division specifically, they'll probably finish second. The Commanders are really bad this year, right? The Giants have a
Giants.
bad record right now, so like they'll finish second in their division. It'll be interesting. They'll get a second place schedule next year, and they're going to have to make some defensive improvements to add on to some of these pieces that they're starting to form on the defense now. With Jerry Jones' vision without Micah Parsons starting to take shape. Let's talk about a
Yeah.
vision that hasn't taken shape this year. The Las Vegas Raiders chance to contend this year did not work out. Dan, what were your thoughts on their performance tonight in general?
Yeah, I mean, it was just another bad performance. They had a chance to a lot of eyeballs on this game, and man, there's a lot to talk about. We can hit on. I just think the first thing I want to bring up is like I know the broadcast is bringing it up, and like people online were saying, why aren't the Raiders running the football? Well, if you haven't noticed, they haven't done it all year, so it's just they can't do it. And it's funny, right out of halftime, they were like, oh, they should run the ball in the first play, and they did a pitch play, and there's three Cowboys in the backfield, so it's the same story every week. They can't run the ball. Their offensive blocking scheme is terrible. Their offensive line coach has not been good at all this season. It's Pete Carroll's son, Brennan Carroll. So yeah, it's just not a good fit. They can't do anything right on the offensive side, and I wouldn't say it's all on Gino. Like I don't care who's like I'm trying to say like you could have freaking prime Tom Brady back there, he has no time to throw. Like I don't care who's playing quarterback. It's gonna be ugly. And once you speed up Geno, that's kind of his thing. Even in Seattle, if he didn't have protection, he always kind of sped up his internal clock. And you saw like during the game, he was throwing to Brock Bowers before he turned, or Trey Tucker, or him and Tyler Lockett aren't on the same page. So it's just a bad recipe, and that's why like no matter how you build teams, I don't know what like you would do if you were a GM of a team, but you got to build from the inside out, and that's
Yeah.
how important. Like you have to build a good offensive line, and that's where the game's won, man. And you saw tonight, like the Raiders had no chance, and like they have Brock Bowers, they have Trey Tucker, who's been a solid wide receiver. Ashton Genty's a solid running back, but we could have had Barry Sanders in there, dude. He's getting tackled for 1 yard. Like, I don't care. Like, it's bad, and, like, you saw the safety, and, like, everybody's in the box, and I was like, "Oh, man, they better not run it. We can't block," and there was, like, 4 Cowboys back there and 3 Raiders looking
Yeah.
backwards. It's just dude, it's bad, dude. So, yeah, it's been a complete disaster, for the Raiders this year. Overall, they really wanted Ben Johnson. Tom Brady really wanted Ben Johnson. They had him, something happened, and then he decided to go to Chicago, and, they
I
settled
don't
for
think
Pete
they
Carroll.
ever had him. There's no way.
No, no, there was reports.
Ben Johnson was eyeing up Chicago before the Chicago job even opened.
No, 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 listen, though, but there was reports saying, like, it wasn't official, but it was I trusted sources, I'm telling you, and that's why I was like, "Okay,
I'm
he's
not
going
buying
there."
it.
Listen, alright, well, that's what was
I'm
told.
not buying it, Dan.
Alright, but anyways, dude, I'm telling you, Tom Brady really wanted him. He's gone, but I'm just saying, like, they settled for Pete Carroll. They just thought he would bring stability, and they're like, "Oh, maybe we can go 500. We'll set a good culture, good foundation," and it hasn't worked out. So, Chip Kelly's hasn't been good, and they never had a history working together. They're bumping heads with each other. The defense coordinator, the defense plays tough. Max Crosby plays his butt off every snap. He just plays lights out every game, and you feel bad for a guy like that. But yeah, just overall, like I don't know if they gave up towards the end because like Pickens on that touchdown, like there's 3 Raiders there, and like they didn't even try to tackle Pickens, and I was just like,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, this is when coaches get fired, like similar to the Cardinals, man. Like you keep getting blown out, like your team's gonna give up on you. I don't care. You won Super Bowls and college football playoff national championships. Like this is it. So yeah, man, it's just not looking good in Vegas, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything for them right now. We talked about them getting a little healthier on defense. It didn't matter in this one. They couldn't stop a nosebleed, and it was a lot of,
Yeah.
effort
Oh
plays in
yeah.
the secondary and the second level where guys were just not making tackles and allowing them to get extra yards after the catch. George Pickens was open the entire day. They did a decent
Yeah,
job
dude.
of
They can't
slowing
cover.
down CD and not making him have a massive game, and it caused George Pickens to be an afterthought for this defense, and he made them pay, that's for sure. Pickens had a monster day. Offensively for them, they're still lost, right? This offense has not found a rhythm the entire season. And when they do find a rhythm, it feels like Gino makes a turnover and then it all falls apart. So with them right now, the same thing I've been saying with the Raiders. Chip Kelly's a major problem for this team right now. And what he's been able to do with this offense. I understand the offensive line is very poor, but you draft a running back like Ashton Genty as high as you do, you got to get him the ball early and often in the game. And it's not just fake play action passes and setting something up down the field, because clearly that's not working right now with Geno Smith. And this offense right now, it I understand the talent level is not completely good, but it feels like with the guys they have, they should be much better than how they've been performing consistently. And, a lot of people are going to say Geno Smith is the complete problem. It's all his
No,
fault, all this type of stuff. He's not the entire problem. Sure, he's had a significant, uh, significant part of that problem right now because he's struggling, but he has a brutal offensive line that can't hold up. They're injured right now as well. Chip Kelly is not making his life any easier with some of the play calling that he's had this season. And then the defense has been pretty bad for a majority of the year. So Gino, right? The interceptions are no excuse. He's made some really bad decisions this year, but everything
yeah,
is compounding on him right now. And unfortunately for him, he tied himself to Las Vegas for a multi-year contract. He's an older quarterback. He's trended down for 2 straight years. And, he could be in a situation like Kirk Cousins, signs a big deal and finds his way towards the bench in that first year of the deal. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders, potentially move off of him at some point this year. I do think that Pete Carroll, well, I think a lot of people will talk about him being a one and done. I'm not sure he's a one and done just completely yet. I think they might try to make a move or something, add a few pieces on the offensive line and give it one more chance, right, with Pete Carroll, because it is an older veteran roster still, right? It's not like Pete Carroll's going to stick around for a complete rebuild of this team. So it's either they have two decisions to go. They completely blow the thing up, Dan, and they go into complete rebuild mode, or they say, we're going to give it one more try. We're going to see if we can compete for a wild card or division title this next
yeah,
season. What are your thoughts on kind of the future outlook of the Raiders?
yeah. No, I think the frustrating thing is like the Raiders aren't gonna make the playoffs. They're not gonna hunt for division titles, and we have all these rookies that we drafted. We drafted like 10 rookies this year, and I don't know whose idea it is, but we're not playing them,
Yeah.
and it's pretty bad. And it's just like this is the time to see what you got. Like we have two offensive linemen that we drafted in the third round, and they haven't seen a single game action. Like we need somebody like insert them in there and let them play, and that's what is very frustrating because I think it's on Pete Carroll because we keep bringing guys that play in Seattle. You got Tyler Lockett, you got the left tackle Stone Forsythe. Uh, there's defenders that play with Pete Carroll in the secondary. So we're bringing in a lot of Seattle guys, and none of them pan out. And I think the best one so far this year has been Jamal Adams. He's
Yeah.
looked really well. He yeah, at linebacker he plays his butt off as well. But, like, you bring in a guy like Geno, and, there's a way to get out of it. I think that it's not like the Raiders are really good with their cap, the guy that does it, Tom Delaney, he's, like, one of the best in the NFL. So, I think there's, like, a $18 million dead cap for next year if they wanna move on. So, I'm not really sure what they're gonna do, but, I think, yeah, I think we've seen enough of Pete Carroll, like, I'm done with him. Personally, I think they're gonna bring in somebody. They're definitely gonna keep Spytech because him and Brady, dude, are like this. So they're gonna definitely keep the GM, and I'm sure they're gonna move on from Carroll and try to find their coach that they want. And I don't think they're gonna be in a quarterback running, man. I think they're gonna sign a veteran. You got to think where Spytech comes from. He came from Tampa, and they brought in guys like Tom Brady, a veteran, and also Baker Mayfield. So I think he's gonna try to shoot for a veteran. You see all these career quarterbacks, get drafted in the first round. Darnold. Baker Mayfield, like I said, I can't
Maybe
think
you're
of another
Kyler
guy.
Murray.
No, no, don't start that. No, but yeah, yeah, man. I mean, I think they're gonna try to shoot for a veteran. I really do, and bring somebody else in, and yeah, it's just frustrating. I want to see these rookies play, man. I want to see what they got. I seen enough of Will Putnam and Jordan Meredith, and yeah, I seen enough of them. Throw those guys in. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, at this point, the veterans have got to, take a step back. And, that was the interesting part about the Tyler Lockett signing is one, that Lockett wants to go to a team not competing for anything. And two, the Raiders are willing to, give him snaps over Jack Beck and, Deontay Thornton, two rookies that, we don't know what they
Yeah.
have yet. Like they haven't played enough snaps that you can really give a true assessment on these guys. And, Brock Bowers, great young piece. Ashton Genty,
Oh
great
yeah.
young piece. Max Crosby, all pro edge rusher. Outside of those guys, Dan, like I don't know what I'm getting from this Raiders roster. There needs to be a lot of change. And I understand Pete Carroll is trying to go with his way and get things that worked in Seattle in the past and stuff like that. But his methods in Seattle didn't work. And that's kind of what led him on the
Yeah.
outs
It's
there.
why.
And they hired a
Yeah.
different guy. So I
Yeah.
think with Las Vegas, right, they're in such a this is how they have to look at things. They're in a division with Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, and Justin Herbert, right? Those are
Yeah.
three guys that made the playoffs last year, and there's a good chance that those three make the playoffs again this year, right? They have to compete with those guys. They aren't just competing with, like the AFC East, for example, right? In years past, where they had like a bunch of guys that were just
Mhm.
rotating quarterbacks on a yearly basis. This is an incredibly tough division, and they have to meet that expectation. If they don't have a guy at quarterback or a stacked roster, they don't have a chance in the division. And the Raiders have it a little bit less fortunate for everybody else because the division they play in, but it makes it even more of an urgency that this team needs to rebuild, get away from some of these veterans, accumulate draft picks, and build around their young studs and Max Crosby, because that's going to give them the best chance to compete in the division long term instead of
Yeah.
heading into it next year. Say, hey, we still have some veterans on this roster. We got some young pieces as well. We'll get our draft class in and we'll add veterans and free agency. I don't know if that's the best path for this team. They need to get younger. They need to build a core and they need to accumulate draft picks and build that core. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No. They have a lot of draft picks coming up. Man, I forget what it was, but they have. I think they have 2/3, 2/4. Man, I forget what it was. I have it bookmarked somewhere, but they have a lot of picks coming up in this draft, and that's why I think you keep Spytech because that he's had his guys out on the road like all college football season. So it's like you can't get rid of him. Like those guys are boots on the ground all season, and they know who to scout for and they know who to look for. So I would not get rid of the GM, but definitely the coach, man. I don't know, like I'm done. Like I've seen enough. This isn't the Legion of Boom. We run cover three. Everybody knows how to beat cover three, unless you have Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Thomas, and Michael Bennett out there. Like, yeah, you're gonna win, but yeah, it's not working right now, and it's time to pull the plug. And I don't know if you caught like Mark Davis out there in the owner's box, but like he hates getting embarrassed like that, especially on prime time. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna see what happens, but I think it's done, dude. Like it's time to hit the reset button and bring in a new voice and build it the right way here in Vegas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure what happens. Drop your comments down below what you think's happening with the Cowboys rest of the season and the Raiders future and what's going to happen with their coaching situation and quarterback situation. If you enjoyed the Blitz angle, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Me and Dan would love to catch you guys on our next episode, and we'll catch you guys next time.